What's up, Design Family, and welcome to another episode of Fit Design TV. So glad to have you here. Today, we're going to be looking at seamless garments in sportswear. We're going to be defining what a seamless garment is, how it's made, and going through some of the pros and cons. So if you've ever wondered what seamless products are, this is the video for you. Welcome to Fit Design TV. On this channel, we'll explore what it takes to make it as an activewear fashion brand, whilst providing tips, tricks, and actionable steps towards starting your own product line. Whether you're an entrepreneur looking to start your own brand, or just someone interested in fitness fashion, there's something for you here. If you're into activewear or sportswear, you've undoubtedly heard the term seamless products or seamless manufacturing. Think of the Gymshark Flex legging or the Athlete Revival legging. You may be asking yourself, what is seamless? Seamless is exactly what it sounds like. They're products that are made without seams. And how that is achieved is through the knitting of microfiber yarns along a tube or a circular tube of sorts. There are many different types of seamless production, but the ones we're going to look at are circular body knitting. And that's the main type of seamless production that we think of when it comes to sportswear. Believe it or not, seamless production and seamless modes of production have been along for a long time. The Egyptians have been using it since the Coptic era, and they've been using it to create familiar items like socks. So it's something that we do take for granted, but it has come into the limelight in the last couple of years with its popularity with major brands like Gymshark, Athlete, Forever 21, other major brands that are putting out sportswear. Seamless is done on a tube. Typically, what you have is this continuous tube which has needles all around it, and this garment is being knitted as it goes along, and that's how you create your final product. Unlike traditional cut and sew methods where you have to source the fabric, you bring the fabric in, you cut it down, you stitch it into place. With seamless, you're ready to go as long as you have the microfiber yarns, and you knit that into the garment, and it's exactly where you end up with your finished garment. So there are a couple of pros and cons to look at with seamless manufacturing when you're comparing it to regular cut and sew manufacturing. So I'll go through the pros and I'll list them one by one, and then I'll go through the cons and I'll list those by one, and I'll make my effective conclusion on how seamless garments compare to cut and sew. With seamless garments, the time and effort required for seamless production is far less than cut and sew. Why is that? With seamless, you typically have 1 to 2 to 3 steps of production before you can come out with the finished product. Compare that to the 9 or 10 different steps that have to be taken for cut and sew production, between the production of the fabric, the inspection of the fabric, the packing of the fabric, the shipping of the fabric, the unloading of the fabric, the inspection of the fabric again, the drawing of the patterns, the cutting of the patterns, the stitching of the patterns. All of that adds up in time and effort, and allows for a lot more mistakes to be made along that process, and there's a lot more wastage of the fabric used. With seamless, you're knitting on a tube and you're making the fabric or the garment as you go along, so that drastically reduces the amount of wastage when compared to traditional cut and sew methods. At the same time, what many people love about seamless production is the flexibility to create cool and intricate designs. If you've ever seen a knitted piece, or if you think of your grandma knitting a specific kind of like a beanie or whatever, you're able to create these patterns within this lattice of knits, and that's the same way that seamless production is done. And that's what allows you to create these different sections within the product. If you look at a pair of leggings that have a seamless knit throughout, where you have different patterns, different textures, maybe some perforations, all of that is done on the same tube, and it's done as you go along. It's programmed into the computer to tell the machine as it goes from point A to point B to change into this specific weave, to create this specific pattern, to create this density of knits, and overall you end up with a very organic and fluid looking product. If you think of the Gymshark ombre leggings, where they have this gradient effect going from the ankles to the thigh area, that is achieved not by dipping those items into a certain dye, but essentially It's achieved by knitting that color and creating that color as you go along and gradually changing up those yarns to create different colors and hues and saturations, and that is what creates the final product. That flexibility is unparalleled, and it's one of the only ways to get certain types of effect is through seamless production. You can get a really technical look. At the same time, because seamless garments are made in such a controlled way, the variety or the variance between product and product when you're looking at quality control is minimized. Each machine creates one garment at a time, and it cuts out the human factor as much as possible. And because of that, you're going to have a lot less mistakes on the garment. As the machine knits it, you're able to look at the garment and make your decision on whether a mistake has been made and pass it off, as opposed to your main cut and sew production where you have garments being made on the line and everything's being done in batches and it's inspected at the end. You have a lot more room for error on that front. At the same time, we also have to consider the lower lead time. Because far less product or production processes are required in seamless production, you end up with a much faster lead time. Typically, as a rule of thumb, you'd be looking at around 30 to 40% faster lead times, which is going to lead to an overall faster production to selling schedule, which is awesome when you have a business that's constantly moving and you're looking to produce more and more products on a faster scale. We'll also look at the overall quality and durability of seamless garments. Because of that lack of variance in quality control, what you end up with are products that are a lot more durable over time, products that hold up and products that just work. So with seamless production, you're getting a lot of pros in the overall polish and finish of the garment. And in most productions that we see, activewear and sportswear, they use Santoni machines that really allow you to do different things that have not been able before. For instance, what am I referring to? If you look at a seamless pair of leggings from Gymshark, you see that the main body has different knits and weaves, and that main body part actually blends seamlessly into the waistband area. And seamless production allows you to continuously change up the knit from your main body part to the waistband and create a more thicker and compressive fabric. So without having to cut and sew and double layer any of those parts, you're able to achieve a single swoop of knit to basically cover all of your bases. And that's something that is almost impossible with any other type of production in the cut and sew space. So despite the many pros that we've seen, there are some cons. And a lot of those have to do with the advanced nature of seamless production. Seamless machines, such as the Santoni machines, are a lot more expensive, so they're an upfront investment, which means that only certain facilities will be able to offer these types of products. It's not something that you're going to be able to source locally, or you're going to be able to source in certain areas of the world. You have to go to very specific regions and locations. And what that also means are, because of their more advanced nature, you need higher skilled labor to operate that machinery. There's a higher upfront cost to operating that machinery, which leads to higher prices and higher minimums that are required of the customer, of the brand purchasing the product, which means that it's not really a product that you can get into from a starting position, which is unfortunate because it does afford you a ton of flexibility in the design, the color, and a lot of just good quality products that you're able to offer to your customer base. So that higher upfront cost leads to higher MOQs, which makes it a not very accessible item for a lot of startup businesses. And at the same time, because of the nature of how one garment is knitted on one tube and you have to wait until the entire tube is finished the knitting process, what ends up happening is a simple thing like a small hole or a small defect in the knit process as it goes along the tube can end up having you to discard the entire garment. It's not like with a cut and sew garment where maybe you have a mistake on the sleeve, you're able to just discard that sleeve, recut a new sleeve portion, and then reapply it. So you end up with a potential for higher wastage, but that is accounted for with the much better fabric consumption. those are pretty much the main items that you might look at, or the main drawbacks that you might look at for seamless production. But in my opinion, there's a lot more pros and there's a lot more areas that you can really benefit. Sometimes with seamless garments, they're not quite aesthetically applicable to certain situations. For instance, in outerwear, you need a lot more structured garments that are layered. You might not want to have a seamless garment, which is going to be a lot more flexible. It's going to feel a lot more like a second skin, a lot more breathable because of the knit structure. You may want a woven fabric. And if you want to know the difference between knitted and woven fabrics, check out our video. We've done it, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. And it accurately describes the major differences between both types of fabric production, knitted fabrics or woven fabrics. Hopefully you guys have learned a thing or two about seamless products, seamless production. You can see where you'd be able to apply those products and if it is suitable for you, depending on where your brand is at. It's always an absolute pleasure to bring topics like this for you guys. If you have any other topics that you want to hear about, any other production methods or any other types of products that you see in the activewear, sportswear, urban wear space, do feel free to leave it in the comments below. It's always a pleasure to interact with you guys and to bring you guys content that you want to see. So thank you for tuning in to the Awesome Fit Design TV. Until next time, guys, stay awesome.